Alright, 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 alright. Let's do this. Hello, everybody who's tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being here to watch this. This is something I've had mulling in the back of my brain for a while. I've been wanting to review Spelljammer Academy, and there's a few reasons for that. The first is just to help me get my brain together about things and give it a more thorough read-through. And the second reason is that I'm running a Spelljammer campaign myself right now, and I started, just coincidentally, with my own Spelljammer Academy. So I think it might be interesting to compare and contrast, because I think, obviously I'm biased, that I did an okay job at it, and they went in a completely different direction with this, which, looking at the situation, is fair. But I have mixed feelings about the narrative they're going with this. So I've read the first two parts of this. The third part came out on Monday, and the fourth part isn't out yet, so maybe I'll do a re-review when the fourth part comes out. And there's a few caveats here regarding Spelljammer Academy. The first is that this is free. It's on D&D Beyond. You got to make an account. But Wizards of the Coast recently purchased and merged with D&D Beyond, and now they're just putting out all their canon stuff on Beyond, mostly for free, which is cool, great. I have mixed feelings about the merger, but that's a story for another time. They've also put out a bunch of just Spelljammer creatures for free, which I think, honestly, they're going in an awesome direction with a lot of the new creatures, like Goon Balloons and the Eldritch Lich, and so forth. So I was looking forward to what they had here, if there was like hints of what's to come, but as we'll see, Spelljammer Academy so far has been very underwhelming, very cliche. Not bad, just feels like they were going for a bunch of different things at once, but we'll get more into that later. The other thing is that, although this is free, and I'm not going to judge it too harshly, and it's clearly made to introduce people and to be run separately, and just to be basically for one-shots, it is also explicitly, according to Wizards of the Coast, like the lead-in to the level 5 through 8 adventure that they have in their upcoming module for sale. So even though maybe it's low stakes on the free module here, it's whatever it is here is supposed to lead into what's going to be a very important module, because Spelljammer is like a big thing for them. They kind of just been shoving Radiant Citadel off to the side. They're like, they put it out, but they really want to focus on Spelljammer, and I see why. It looks very fun from what they've put out so far. So there's actually a lot riding on this, even if it is just a free, almost throwaway module in and of itself. So I'm going to be a little critical of it, I'm mainly looking at the narrative aspects. We'll see. Also, if you see my camera shaking, that's because my cat's here, and I'm giving him pats on the bum, but Heaney will probably soon get up and go. So we'll get a little less shaky. Anyways, I think it's about time to get started. Thanks for tuning in, Butt Clown. Ass. Yes. Thank you to whoever's tuned in, and let's get started, shall we? So, well, first, let's look at this beautiful cover art. One thing I do like is the art direction they've taken with this. It's like, the Gith, they look kind of generic. These are like Gith pirates. Once you read the module, you'll see why that is, so things can be forgiven. But I love the direction they've taken with the character art and like the beautiful art backgrounds. Somebody like kind of phoned in the Gith themselves, but then like put their heart and soul into like this planet in the background. And I also love, like, look at this gnome here. Is this a goblin? This goblin in the bottom left? You know, this looks fun. Let's hope it lives up to it. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, just as a reminder, I've read the first two here, Orientation and Trial by Fire. I haven't read Realm Space Sortie, and it looks like this is when they actually leave. we're going to do a fuller one of this, and I'm just going to be summarizing these two here and going over them. So, welcome to Spelljammer Part 1. Oh no, spoilers here. For the DM only, by the way. But we'll get into that later. So, this is an adventure designed for 3 to 7 first-level characters, and it goes... The idea is, you know, level 1 for the first one, level 2 for the second one, and so on and so forth. Fair enough. And they've decided this is going to take place at Spelljammer Academy on the island of Nimbrall. So yeah, George, like you said, this is going to be Space Cadets, Space Marines, the set. Like I said, I did my own Space Marines to start up my Spelljammer adventure, which turned out to be wildly different than this one. But this is... You get the sense from reading this that this is mostly made almost as a marketing thing, just to hype up Spelljammer in September. But also, they're trying to, like... It's made for new players to D&D, and it gets a bit confusing as to, like, who exactly the audience for this is. But we'll go from the start. So, blah blah blah, welcome to Spelljammer Academy, here's the overview. Adventure hooks. This is simple enough. You're invited to join the Spelljammer Academy for whatever reason. You can probably tie it to their backstory if you want. I don't think you have to... This is fine. It's funny that they enable this for Adventurers League. I'm not going to talk too much about the crunch in this. Honestly, I think it's balanced fine. I'm more concerned with the narrative aspects of this. So, welcome to Wild Space. And welcome to Wild Space indeed, because they just do it. They do it, folks. They start you off in the Kobayashi Maru. They start you off in a simulation, and you're not supposed to tell the players. You just tell them they're on a ship, the Moon Raider, and there's a dozen pirates coming down on them. And I hate this. Like, come on, really? We're starting off. This is... I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with cliches, but it's exactly what you expect. You start off, you're being attacked by Gith. There's no context. And not only that, but it says that literally the characters' memories have been modified so that they think they've been on this ship the whole time and this is actually happening. And then at the end, surprise, surprise, it's a simulation. And it's just... You know, everything else in this module I have mixed feelings about, but this is just a bad start. It's cliched. It immediately brings distrust with the players. They'll never trust the next thing that happens again. And now it cheats them out of whatever experience they did have on the spelljamming ship, because they'll have no idea what is actually true, like what here was realistic and what wasn't. So, it's a bad idea. That being said, there's a little highlight here. I like, for instance, this table for the Astral Reavers. Like, you roll... Oh no, this one has iridescent scales and glowing pink eyes. This one has a burning beard and breath that reeks of booze. You can tell whoever wrote this, it was a bit of a rush job, but they clearly had a lot of fun with it, as we'll see further down. But yeah, I hate it. If I was running this module, I would just skip this part. It's just a bad idea. It's just a bad idea. Anyways, after that, we get to the actual meat and potatoes of this part. Get out, and it was a simulation. And then you meet Bosun Tardo here, who's in a Hadozi, and Hadozi are becoming a playable race. That's cool. Those are, like, literally ship monkeys, ship apes. And he's like, oh, welcome to Spelljammer Academy. You did okay, or whatever. And now we get to the actual Spelljammer Academy. We arrived this morning on Belligerence, a chartered galley out of Waterdeep, which picked up passengers and crew in the Moonshae Isles, Baldur's Gate, blah, blah, blah. You come to Nimbrall, this 2,000-foot high column rock cliff. And here's the map. So this is really cool. It's a really cool idea. Like, I wish there was a better art handout to show the players, but showing them this map is fine. There's even a player version without labels, and there's like security levels, and that's cool, I guess. It just feels like this is very complicated and a lot to walk the players through for what is essentially a 4-session tutorial module. You know, this is a very complicated map. This looks like a dungeon, right? But no, it's just like this. It's a lot of detail spent on not a lot of action. Anyways. But overall, like, this is pretty cool. Like, there's a Spelljammer there. Honestly, I'm not sure. I get why they wanted to separate it and make Nimbrawl a secret place. I just started my focus in Waterdeep at an account would be opened by the Gith. Because there's, like, canon about that. But I guess this is fine. It's supposed to be usable for anyone, and the focus is on space. So, whatever. Here's a lot more about Spelljammer Academy. You want to protect Toril. I feel like their mission statement is kind of vague. I noticed, at least for the first 2 sections of this module, it's never actually explained to the players. And they're going to classes and orientations. It's never explained to them who they're actually protecting Toril from. Is it Githyanki? Is it Mind Flayers? Is it Nyogi? It's never explained. You're never told why this Marine Corps is important. Maybe that comes up later, but really feel like that's something that should be established earlier, because otherwise, what are the motivations for the players to be here? Exploring space, obviously, but, like, why, you know? Anyways. There's a lot of rich lore about that for Realm Space too. Sorry, I'm ranting. Now you give them orientation tasks. You literally, you know, one of the Mines of Phandelver is commonly praised as one of the best beginner modules in all of D, and that's because it puts you right into the action. You know, you start off, you find the goblins, you fight them, you go to the goblin cave. It's a great way of introducing the game to new players. And for the start in this one, you literally give the players a chores list, not like a fighting list, not a quest list, a chores list. And as you'll see, there's some challenge checks here and there, but yes, this literally is a chores list, and you're just supposed to walk them through it. And I guess the idea is to introduce the players to the concept of Spelljammer, but you don't need this. Is it that hard to explain space to players? And then here's the hook for this module. There's recent thefts and stuff is going awry. That's fine. Cool. You know, that's a nice little hook. And there's like security levels. And I think this is a little overly complicated. There's only 4 modules, but there's like 5 security levels, and each one is like color-coded to the map. If we look at the map again, this is like very complicated for a situation where with a slightly better built map, you could just be like, okay, no going above this floor, you know? It's a strange choice. It feels like they had a lot of ideas, but then didn't play test. Like I said, this feels like a bit of a rush job. These are fun. You know, I like the random events. Like I said, whoever did this, they had fun writing it. Like these random events. A halfling cadet dashes past, clearly for training. They turn a corner and they bump into a pair of plasmoids and they become stuck together. You pull them out, and then they run off. And that's it. You know, that's fun little stuff that happens. I appreciate stuff like this. That's fun flavor. And you'll see later there's a lot of this. This is fun. This is a good idea. A manacled mind flayer passes by. It would be nice if, you know, this wasn't a random event and this just happened so the players could see who they were protecting Toril from, but, you know. So now we're talking about the academy locations. You get to administration, orientation task, welcome pack. Like, I don't want to dive into deep detail here, but look, they literally show up, they get this, and they get 50 gold requisition vouchers. Your players aren't supposed to start with starting equipment. Give them a 50 gold requisition voucher, and then they can buy equipment. And it's like, it's just such a strange choice. It's like they were like, we're gonna do a Star Trek start, and then committed so hard they forgot what makes D&D fun, and doing requisitions as the first task that your players will encounter that's not a simulation is definitely a choice, a very bold choice. And then you go to the cadet quarters and you get bunk assignments, and somebody walks up and is like, "Hey, Greenie, get out of here. We're here," and you make an intimidation check, and you can fight unarmed. And this is fine. I'm surprised at how detailed they made this for what you could say is just, in a single line, a character named Vina roughs them up. But fair enough. This is okay. Then they go to the gymnasium and they just do a bunch of skill checks at an optical course. Like, why? Why? And then you take them to the simulation deck to report back. Oh, and then, sorry, you take them to the sky dock to do ship inspection, where Twin Gnome officers, I guess the idea is to tutorialize this, but, like, they're just ships in space. There's no, you don't tutorialize like your players going on a cargo ship for the first time. Why would you need this, you know? Beautiful art. And here's where they train the Spelljammer cadets. Here's an Astral Elf, another playable race. Nice art. This is fine, cool, whatever. And then you do basic training, and here's actually something important. Apparently... Oh, hello, Panda. Thanks for tuning in. Apparently, you don't need to be a spellcaster to use a spelljamming helm, which I think is a good change by Wizards of the Coast. All you do is you hop in, but again, it just feels like this whole thing is just teasing the players. You're supposed to use a spelljamming helm, and the DM is just supposed to very vaguely describe the feeling. This is the whole sentence you get for describing what is the central mechanic of this setting. And then the cadet leader is supposed to ask the players questions, and you give them inspiration when they answer the question. It's like I said earlier, it feels like this was made to introduce players to 5e, which is fine, but is also made to introduce players to Spelljammer, which I guess is another layer on top of that. That's okay. And then also made to hype up Spelljammer to experienced players, and it's just, there's so much going on here, and it was all rushed and clearly not fully play tested. Anyways. Next you go to collect service weaponry, and again, this is the requisition part. This is cool. I like Master Bliv, Auto Gnomes, right there making a comeback, but why? You're just... like... they force you to buy your equipment in the module. It just seems completely... like, why? Anyways, finally after this is cool. This is a nice hook at the end. You get a crate you're supposed to take up to Mirth the Merciless, the leader of the academy, or the headmaster, or whatever. And it's mysterious, and inside is Neogi hatchlings, but nobody knows. These are just, like, basic creatures. What is Spelljammer? If you don't know, Spelljammer is... it was like a space module made for AD&D, or 2nd edition, that's making a comeback. This is almost like a throwback, but it's a big thing being pumped out by Wizards of the Coast right now, and they made this module to hype it up. And it's a space. It's D&D in space, basically. And Spelljammers are spelljamming helms are like the spaceship. It's honestly a really cool setting, and I like how they've expanded the lore. I just have mixed feelings about this specific intro module. Okay, anyways, you get to Mirt's quarters. This is fun. Like, this is what the whole module should be. Look at this. You enter the quarters, and there's a fishbowl, and if you break it, like, there's a bunch of octopuses that fly out, and there's a map, and if you approach it, or try to disturb the battle, little catapults shoot at you, and there's a wardrobe, and when you come out, you have a full makeover. This is fun. Like, why isn't the whole module this? Just let the players explore. Why do you got to take them from point A to point B to point C? The whole point is to encourage players to explore themselves, especially for a setting that you're hyping up that's based around that whole idea of free exploration. This is like, it's so fun. There's a waterbed. Great. Anyways, they open the crate, and this is also funny. The Mirt, the headmaster, he's too hungover to get up. They open the crate. It's Niobe hatchlings. They pop out, and then this is funny. I really like this. Every round, Mirt's trying to help them, but you describe how in his hungover state he fails continuously. He rushes for his belt and rapier, but his breeches slip down, and his breeches are around his ankles, and you're supposed to describe this every turn. And finally, he yanks off his belt after round 6. It's just very silly. This is fun. This is a great idea. And that's it. And the hook is, ooh, who sent the Niobe hatchlings? So, overall, pretty weak start. I'm really skeptical about the ability of this to capture the players. Maybe that's just because, I do this for a living, and so I'm always very thoughtful about keeping my clients' interests. But it's a pretty weak start. There's no stakes established. There's no real enemies hypothesized other than the vague people who made these Niobe thieves and some throwaway lines. It's a pretty weak start. And the next one is a little, well, let's go to the next one. So in the next one, it's a little more interesting, but still run into the same issues. So first, I actually like this setting. You get the pre-flight meal, you show up to the cafeteria, and you're served. I like this bit, for instance, the galley cook is never given his signature dish a name. Most cadets have called it gunpowder chowder, and it's like a gif who presumably talks something like this and like puts slop on your plate. You find out a few fun things, and then the players will be extremely disappointed to find out that you're going to the simulation deck and not actually going to space. This is nice that you're set up with like a foil or like an NPC ally Micken Haverstance. I think he's a little uninspired. He's just nervous. He invites the players to sit with him. It's weird that there's like 3 skill checks written for a relatively simple interaction. And the players are supposed to kind of just want to boost his spirits. I don't know, it's just a very strange choice. I get it, like they want to sympathize with him, and I don't know. And it's not like Micken does anything for them to make them like him or acts in a likable way. It just seems like kind of a weak character choice. I get what they're going for though, and I think if you play it right, it can still be enjoyable. Anyways, after that you go to do the test of metal. You arrive, and Bosun Tardo is like, hey, you're gonna go do another simulation. And the players will be like, when do we get to go to space immediately? And he'll be like, later, and they'll be like, and, why? Like, it just seems like a really weird choice to make them do simulations again. It's not like, at least as far as I can tell from the mechanics they've shown, it's not like there's any super high dangers in wild space that you need to protect them from that's that the DM isn't gonna have immediate control over. It's just like, I don't get it. Why are they still doing simulations? Anyways, start the simulation, and it's just like the real thing, and there's wards, and you take damage, but you don't die. And, like, again, we're running that same issue. There's no stakes here. There's no change the players can make in this world. You're promising them they can go to space, and you're teasing them with spelljamming helms, but it's all fake explicitly. And not in a cool way. Anyways, now you tutorialize this, and again, why can't they just go into spelljamming space with an instructor in it? Because the game creators are scared that the players will just abscond with the spelljamming ship? Like, good. Or, you know, have the spelljammer, like, remotely controlled or something, and have it turn around. You just do that. Anyways, you pass by electric eels in space, and they zap the ship. This is fun. Asteroid cluster. Again, it's pretty underwhelming that these are just, like, seemingly random ability checks as people take on roles. The captain must roll wisdom or charisma. Persuasion. Have to roll persuasion to get people to move the ship. And I get the idea is to make this all collaborative. But it's just, you know, who's gonna enjoy this? This is just something that there's a way to simulate this in D&D, and it's not to have everyone participate. It's just to have the spelljammer do it, and if the players have an idea to help, they can. But forcing everybody to make these checks and have specific roles, it's just very, no, it's almost patronizing to the players. Wow, this is turning out a lot more critical than I thought. But look, I got a lot of thoughts, okay? Yeah, the players are having fun. Gotta stop that. Sprinkling a bit more tutorial, yeah. Anyways, you go to salvage a logbook, and this is, like, interesting, whatever. Again, this module does not do enough to explain the actual mechanics of gravity planes and air bubbles, because it's supposed to be in the book you buy. But then why make this a free one? Again, we're just teasing players with tutorials. And then you go into a wild space battle. Oh no, there's Githyanki on a hammerhead ship. Is it finally time for them to fight? Are they gonna fight? You get to fight Spelljammer on Spelljammer? Well, no, you don't. you maybe get a ballista and a mangonel, but good luck ramming, because the piercing rams rules are in the Astral Adventurer's Guide, which are in the purchasable module. So, no, you don't get to do that. So the most important thing you're supposed to teach the players, how to actually, the one mechanic nobody will be familiar with, you don't get to do. They just hop on the ship, and you shoot ballistae, and you just fight a bunch of fake Githyanki. Two shadows, former crew members of the Flying Fish ship, are attracted to the battle as it unfolds. And you know, and then it's just like, well, you can use magic to damage the ship, but they never explain that. And it's just like, you know, it's like that's right there for the players, but they're not allowed to grasp it. I just cannot imagine doing this twice with my players in 2 sessions and having them not constantly, like, complain about not going to space. But then something interesting actually happens. The illusion around you ends in a silvery blue light. Okay, wait, hold on. Help. Your ship slows, and you see another severely damaged ship, and Micken is on it, and hopefully you made them like Micken, and they go to help. Or they don't, and they go to the finish line. By the way, they are being graded on this, like you're supposed to grade them, and that's supposed to be the stakes. the stakes that are forced upon them by the people that aren't letting them go to space. You know, it's just, and then there's this second hook where, like, oh no, this simulator was sabotaged, and you see the people running it are hurt, and you can pick up clues, and this is cool. Why isn't it just this? This is interesting. And then it ends. Boatswain Tardo chomps down on his cigar. Oh, her cigar, excuse me. She points to the sigil as she looks at Seret Abizin. That look familiar to you? Seret's quicksilver eyes scan the object coldly. Bokath. I should have expected. It appears the Mercane's grudge against Mert has become a vendetta. The old wolf must be told. And finally, at the end of the second session, after teasing the players, we actually get a real hook. A vague one, but this is cool. And actually, I was looking forward to this because the Mercane are really cool. I included one in my hook because they're a really awesome concept. So it looks like things are finally turning up. So far, I would say if I was running this, I would just skip that first section, make it completely different. And for the second session, take them actually to space, and when they come back, they find sabotage, and then do this. Okay. Next one. How is your spelljamming campaign going, Corp? The players are actually really enjoying it. I'm thinking of opening up another one in another time slot, probably Friday afternoons or Wednesday evenings, with my hook. But it's open world, and right now they're going to the air planet to pay off a debt to a Mercane. And they're having a lot of fun. Honestly, I really like this setting. I'm just very critical of this specific module. You know how I feel it's called YOLO. My favorite part of being a makeshift DM is that I get to make up the rules as I go. Yes. Player rolls a nat 20 on perception. Yeah, oh, okay. You're just talking. Cool. Okay, finally, so I haven't read this part yet, but this actually looks interesting. Look at this. There's an autognome and he's broken. Things are actually heating up. Cool. Let's see what happens. So this is basic training drawing to a conclusion. And finally, you get to embark on an actual retrieval mission in space, it appears. While confidence in the cadet's ability is high, the recent discovery of a spy has the Academy's faculty on high alert, and somebody's coming along to supervise. Cool, why didn't they do this 2 sessions ago? You know? Straight up, So, for my Spelljammer hook, when I started, to be fair, the players were already level 3, but you could do this with level 1 players. The first thing that happened, they walked into the orientation room at the end of their cadet training, and the captain was like, your training is done, it's time for your first time to go into space. And that's what they did. You know? Anyways, this is cool. Looks like they're adding the asteroid spider in as the hook. This is cool. So this is what this should have been at the start, is basically what I'm saying. Why aren't we starting with this? Okay. The characters are given their first assignment, retrieving a meteorite of precious adamantine from Hakatha, a distant-shaped world. That's cool. That's the Beholder planet at one point, right? And some people come along. So, they're given a mission. Go to Hakatha. This is just more info. The day begins early at 4 bells as you awaken. This is a really long... This is a lot of exposition. Dodging thrown garbage cans, you geared up, ate a hasty breakfast, blah, blah, blah. An adamantine meteor has struck the spire on Hakatha, and you lot are going to recover it. The bad news is that Hakatha is slowly populated by beholders. This is cool. You should be able to reach the spire without attracting tyrant ships. And obviously you will, haha. I see where this is going, but interesting. Pokemon deckhands Mikin, Cricklet, and Frerad. Sure. Iron ship is made of stone, so don't try and land it in water. You'll sink like a rock. And now you get aboard, and there's Mikin, who you're friends with. Cool. And there's an actual dungeon, the Tyrant Ship. This is interesting. I might add this to my campaign. See, this is cool. Why didn't we start with this? Yeah, exactly. Well, tyrants, beholder tyrants, tyrant ships are. There's actually a lot of interesting lore, at least in the older books, and I'm assuming they're carrying it over. I'm glad they're actually keeping a lot of the old stuff because a lot of the old school lore is wild. I won't spoil too much, but especially the beholders, they got some weird stuff going on in space. Anyways, you go with Winston Ryback, the cook, and Micken and Cricket and Fred, right? He uses the gift stat block, and I'm assuming that's just the normal, yeah, longsword, musket, pistol, arithmetic. Cool. Yeah, there's random stuff in here, and Ascending Stone, right. Okay, you're going to space. Spin cycle trap. The first time a creature enters any of the chambers on the command deck, a trap activates, causing the ship to rapidly spin end over end for 1 minute. Ah, okay, this is cool. So you get aboard the ship, and it's trapped, and there's a lot of stuff about that, but cool. And here we have a Plasmoid and a Thrykean. I really love the Plasmoid art. I love the Plasmoids, and it's nice that the Thrykean are coming back. Neat. Yes. Great artwork. Like clockwork. So... oh, this is on the Tyrant ship. That makes sense. So you go below. You experience mild vertigo, and you pass through the gravity plane. Right. Hollow deck. This deck is one large bowl-shaped chamber containing several piles of mechanical parts. There's 3 clockwork horrors. Clockwork horrors are cool. These are new. These weren't in the original Spelljammer, as far as I know. And they're just little robot minions that can take over spelljamming helms. They're actually, like, for CR2, they can actually pump out a lot of damage, especially their lightning jolt. But they have to make saves against dispel magic. They're cool little creatures. 3 clockwork horrors are methodically salvaging pieces and parts from dead autognomes to construct a 4th clockwork horror. This is awesome. See, this is cool. You go on the ship and they're like, these autognomes are being torn apart by the clockwork horrors. This is good, like, sci-fi horror setting. Again, why didn't we just start with this? Prepare him, pop or pop. Okay. Need to part 3 of this. Okay, so that they just get to mess around. That's fun. This is... I find also my Spelljammer campaign has naturally run into this kind of theming where it's like a mixture of abject, almost eldritch horror, and like a lot of goofing around and silly stuff happening, and there's no in between, which is fun, I think, for the players. Hold on a sec. Okay, we'll get back to that. Okay. Fires erupt on the cargo deck, where Petty Officer Ryback has set up his galley. There's a fire alarm. None of the characters should be on the cargo deck when this scene happens. Micken climbs out the access shaft, breathing hard. Fire in the galley must save others. And there's a conflagration, smoke inhalation rules, elemental meddling, because there's magma methods? Okay. A little... I don't know. When I think of space, I don't really think of magma methods. And after, like, awaiting a huge trap, it's magma methods? I think the players will just kind of be like, what? I will be too. I don't understand. But fair enough, you know, if it can be explained later. You can survey the damage. You look for clues. Although the fire originated from Ryback's particle cupping surface, the surface is incapable of producing conflagration. It was started by a spell. Okay, so it's just the same trapping by the Mercan, probably. Mikin denies knowing who or what started the fire. Why don't they tell the DM what it was? Isn't this supposed to be... Like, imagine you start running this the week it comes out, and you as the DM don't even have any idea what's going on. What if they try to... Oh, okay, here we go. They do explain it here, at least. So Mikin is the spy. Oh! It would be cool if they told the DM that in the last module, you know? Why? But cool, that's a neat twist. I didn't see that coming. I thought he was just a sympathetic NPC, so that's a nice twist. Great. They turn back and press on what they do with Mikin, and that's it. Okay, this was so much better than the first two. Oh, and here we go explaining realm space. Okay, they're still sticking with the same explanations of everything. Looks like realm space is the same. Oh, there's a realm space map. Cool. Well, it's nice that this is finally available to us all. There's like, I read the realm space module from 1991, and there's a lot of wild stuff in it. I think they were definitely doing some psychedelics when they originally made realm space. So it's cool to see they're sticking with stuff. Aarakocra, Lizard Folk, and Dragon. My players are on Koliar right now. Toril and Saloon, and we got the Rock of Graal, could be. So they really are sticking with the old module for the most part, the old canon, which is great because I think it's a pretty strong canon. Chandos, Lith with my players underneath. Garden is still the same. Katha, Spindle, and here's a Tyrant ship map. Pretty simple. This could be fun. Honestly, this could be fun even if you're not doing this, just as a random encounter in space for your players. I approve. I approve. And that's it. So, part 4 is not out yet, but it will be out at some point. So, thoughts overall. I would say if you want to run Spelljammer Academy for you and your players, honestly, just don't do part 1 or 2. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not gonna be fun. If I were doing this, I would start them at level 3 and at part 3 and just put them in media res right there. Or if I really want to do level 1, I would make the first step for part be them finding out and getting enlisted in Spelljammer Academy. Maybe they have to pass like an exam or something, entrance exam. And then for part 2, that could easily just be rolled into part 3 there. Like, those don't have to be 2 separate parts, especially given what's happened. Maybe set up the stuff with Mikin, or just jam the ending of part 1 and just do time jumps. You know, you can do time jumps. Don't forget, you can have the level 1 and 2, or just level 1, be them getting in, and then just jump ahead 6 months to them finishing their cadet training and going into space. You can just do that. So I give, overall, so far, I give this a 6 out of 10. I give part 1 a 4 out of 10, mainly for the last part. Or a 4 out of 10. I give the second part a 2 out of 10, and I give the last part here an 8 out of 10. the third part. So hopefully part 4 will come to a head, and that Mercane setup will offer a great hook into what's supposed to be their premier Spelljammer campaign, level 5 through 8 in August. We'll see. The last part will come out on Monday this week. I'm honestly, now that it's ramping up and they're actually in space, I'm looking forward to what the last one is. I think I might integrate even some parts of part 3 here to my campaign. But overall, a bit disappointing. It feels like this was given to a new writer on staff who kind of was just told to write this in like a month, and then they just did it. Everybody's and it's not terrible, but I would not run this for my players to introduce Spelljammer as it is. Anyways, that's it. Thank you everybody who tuned in. George, Panda, bum. If you are interested in a Spelljammer campaign, well, like I said, I am looking into running one on Friday afternoons Eastern Time or Wednesday evenings Eastern Time. Opening a new one based off of my hook, although I might integrate some of this. And that's going to be mainly sandbox one, though I think we're going to hop over to the module once it comes out with some modifications. If you're interested in that and you want to join it or want to know more about it, I'll be putting updates on the Discord, so if you haven't yet, if for somehow you're tuning into this and you're not part of the Discord community, you should be. You can join the Discord there, and I'll be putting updates, and you can always DM me if you're interested to let me know what day you want to do it, because that's probably the day I'll choose. Thank you so much, everybody who tuned in, and please have a wonderful Wednesday. We'll be back hopefully on Friday with some more Total Improv.